want to talk about?
Well, firstly, welcome, Trish. We can talk about anything. The beauty of this is I don't know your story. No, and even when
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's the good thing is Taylor can edit. So
I was expecting one of those. And
we can do that.
And camera and action.
Oh, that was good timing. I think that'll work. We can use that. Let's start. Let's start from wherever. I was thinking in the car today, can I remember this? I like to do 3 things when we're on the podcast. Get comfortable, have fun, and be vulnerable.
Love it. Love.
CFV. CFV.
And I didn't even know that, but here I am.
Here you are. Yeah, and I hadn't told anyone that before either. I was just driving in the car today. I'm like, if people can be comfortable, we can have fun, and they can be vulnerable, It kind of works. It's kind of amazing. So, Trish, you were born and raised in?
Queensland.
Oh.
Forever lived in Queensland person.
Person after my own heart. Yeah. I love Queensland. I was born in Southport.
Okay. I was born on the sunny coast.
A little bit nicer. It's a little bit nicer than Southport. Just a smidge.
Just a bit.
Just a smidge.
Especially given the fact I lived in Mullaney for the first 9 years of my life. Yeah.
Get the dairy farming out.
Yeah. I lived next to a dairy farm.
No way.
I did. Right next door.
Okay. This is instantly cool. So you're a farm girl.
Yeah. So I lived at this right on the edge of the range on the way up to Mullaney. It was called Bald Knob. If you look up there, there's a little hill with it's like a bald head. And it had a little tree on it. Bald knob, yeah.
Australians are not super creative, just really simple.
That looks like a bald knob. That's called It Forever Shall Be.
Yeah, that's
Bald Knob.
That's what we shall call it.
I don't know if it's still called that to this day. It probably is. I don't know.
I reckon it's
That's
Queensland.
where I lived.
It would be. Yeah.
And I could see from my backyard the whole of the Sunshine Coast. And at night, on a clear night, we could see the lights from Noosa all the way down to Brisbane.
Can you see the water?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it still family property?
No.
Dang.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dang. Yeah.
One of my dad's biggest regrets, I think.
Yeah.
In fact, he's followed that property. But anyway.
Oh, you can't do that.
That was the cool. I know, right?
You can't do that.
And the house isn't there anymore. It got burnt down.
Oh, isn't that the worst? It's
I think it's under suspicious circumstances, but anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows?
Probably.
But it was beautiful. It was lovely living there, and we had cows.
Oh,
I was brought up on
dairy cows.
Yeah.
Can you milk a cow?
Yes.
You can milk
I can milk a cow. Yep.
I've done it once as a kid. You know, you go on the excursions, and the guy's like.
I didn't have to go on the excursion.
No, you just did.
I went down the back shed. My dad,
that's cool.
Fresh milk fresh from the cow. We used to call it milk fresh from the cow.
Yeah. Okay. So
every morning.
There's a thing that the government did for whatever reason. You know, like you can't sell unhomogenized.
Well, I think you can sell unhomogenized because that's when it gets all smushed together, but not unpasteurized. Because that takes out the gremlins. Yeah.
But people these days sell bath milk, and it's raw cow's milk.
Right. Okay.
So that's
Look, I've lost the taste for it now. If I taste it now, it'd be gross. I reckon.
Well, no, and I don't think it's straight out of the cow's teat, because it doesn't. It tastes kind of like the normal stuff, but.
Okay.
So you can drink straight from the cow, because they said that you can't.
Here I am, I'm alive and I'm healthy.
And you look healthy, look strong.
Yeah, I'm strong, healthy. Yeah.
Okay, we love that stuff. I think a lot of people in society are like wanting to go back a little bit to the farm life.
Yeah.
All right, highlight of living on a farm.
Highlight, oh man. Or the view, because where I was, but I think the freedom. like me and my little sister, we used to just meander down the gully and up the other side, and there was this old cart just sitting there rotting in the paddock, but right next to it was a mandarin tree. We used to climb up on the cart and just sit up on the cart and just reach up and just eat mandarins.
That's a beautiful
So,
picture.
yeah, I know, right?
That's a really beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Was it like an old school, 50-year-old, 100?
Cart. Yeah, one of those like flat deck with a big metal wheel but a wooden platform.
Have you got photos of that?
No, photos in my head.
Yeah,
Sam.
that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
We've just moved and we've got 2 mandarin trees out the back.
Nice.
And just we're not on acreage. We're on 1,000 square meters, which is nice for us.
Decent.
Yeah, and we got 2 mandarin trees, and I'm just like, you can you educate me? When do I pull them off?
Oh,
When
they
they-
come off when they're ripe.
So they're just when I can just
Yeah, if you hold it and if you twist it slightly, if it comes off,
It's good to
right.
go.
Yeah. If you have to like squish it around to twist it, like to get it off, it's not ready yet.
oh
Yeah.
good.
Because the stalk will like tell you.
Okay, and that's when it's like ready to eat straight away. Do we pull some off and put them and let them ripen in the basket or nah? Okay.
You can eat it straight from the tree.
Are they all going to be ready at the same time? No. Okay, so it's okay, cool.
Water it a lot, because if you water it a lot, it'll have nice juicy fruit.
Well, I'm at the top of Springbrook, so I don't have to water anything. It rains all the time. You can come up sometime.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. Anyway, not about my mandarin trees. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was there till I was 9.
Okay.
Then we moved down into Palmwoods,
Where's that?
just down the hill. Like, yeah, do you know Woombye?
Nope.
Nambour?
Nambour
Nambour, just south of Nambour.
or Nambour?
Nambour.
Nambour. I know the name of Nambour.
Yeah.
I'm born and bred Australian.
Yeah.
Don't know much
Sunny
about my own
Coast
country.
is like- Sunny Coast is like a little bubble.
Yeah. Well, the Gold Coast was like that once upon a time. The Sunny Coast is like the new Gold Coast, in a good way. The old Gold Coast. Okay. And was your dad a pastor?
Yes, my
You
dad
were-
was a pastor.
You're a
Yeah.
PK.
PK.
Wow. Did he have a church?
Yes. So we were involved in COC at Nambour.
All your
since
life?
I was 2 years old.
Yeah, nice.
Since they did the plant in the high school building, Nambour High, this new church started. So my parents were actually Presbyterian
Okay.
till I was 2, and they had friends that were spirit filled, and they told them about this new church starting up that was coming to Nambour. Pastors being sent up from Brisbane to start the church. So they went along, got spirit filled, and just stayed forever. Yeah, so I remember, it was really cool to go on that journey and see my parents learn about the Holy Spirit and about healing and all that kind of stuff.
That's
as
cool.
a kid. Yeah. And then, so my dad was one of the, then they bought a pineapple shed. I don't know if you know the story of that church, but they actually bought a pineapple shed on a massive big block of land just near Woombye there. And that pineapple shed, dirt floor and all, was our church building.
Stop it.
And then we got a concrete floor. And then they started a school. So we actually had our school inside this shed that was now our church. So after church on Sunday nights, all the men would put out all our school desks ready for the school week. And on Friday afternoon, they'd pack it all down ready for church. Yeah, right? You think putting out chairs is mad? These guys had to put out these desks, and it wasn't just single desks. We had triple desks with these big dividers between us because we were at this. I know, right?
Cool. This is
It was another world.
Hey, people want this now.
Yeah.
Hey, you know that? People are
Want
like
dividers between their kids? No, I don't recommend
do they
that.
have dividers
We
between
had
them?
dividers between us because we we used to have this school system called the ACE system. It's still around these days, like for homeschoolers, but back in the day,
Australian Christian education?
accelerated Christian education. It came out of the States. It was very American.
Accelerate.
Think 80s American strict Christian.
The greatest school program in the world.
Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Yes, I can picture.
But we had, it was self-paced, and the workbooks that you work through were called paces because it was self-paced.
Which is
So we used to work through.
good.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, being self-paced. But they had these dividers between us because we couldn't talk to the people next to us. We couldn't cheat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or distract. Or it was really bad.
Yeah, because
Say it.
I'm like, oh, is that a good thing? Like, no, because you just assume all the kids is off the bat, you're all cheaters.
Yeah.
There
And
was
you were
no-
all going to distract each other.
Yeah,
But it didn't stay like that forever. This is a good news.
good.
When I got to grade 7, the school actually changed. I went to the Australian Christian school
Oh,
curriculum.
good.
So we got rid of these big triple desks
Nice.
and we had individual desks with no dividers. So it's so weird after being like 6 years with dividers, and my best friend used to sit next to me, and she made up this little note that had a little picture of a clock on it, and it said, "What time is it?" And she used to slide it under, and I used to write the time because I wore a watch and she didn't.
Oh,
And if our teacher saw us doing that, we would have been in big trouble.
Big trouble.
But then all of a sudden, grade 7, we had no dividers. And so we're sitting there in the classroom. It's like, hello, what do I do with my hands?
I love that. You know the movie reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
that's why I'm saying it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the opposite. Like, you're sitting on your hands, you're like, and the teacher would ask us a question, and we'd be like, but I'm not allowed to talk in class.
Oh, so they started the whole thing changed.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Ah.
It was more interactive, it was more open, more, so what do you guys think? And who wants to answer the question? Like traditionally in school, right? Put your hand up to answer the question.
So everyone was like, how long did it take for everyone to adapt?
I don't know.
Did we
I
ever
don't know.
adapt?
I don't know.
That's cool. And there was like a God element through it. Yeah?
What element, sorry?
God element?
Absolutely. It was Christian school.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many kids were in the barn?
In the barn. Oh, see, by then we started building school classrooms. Every year we built like another one down the hill, So now it's a massive big school up there now. Yeah. So I don't know how long we were in the barn, in the shed.
And initially it would have
Probably about, 4 or 5 years or something.
it would have always been kids from the church, like just church kids.
Yeah.
Were you there when it started to become outside kids coming in, or it was always
Yeah. We did have a few. About
That would've been
halfway through
interesting.
high school. Yeah. Primary school, I mean. Yeah. But the Sunshine Coast is very white, Caucasian. So we didn't really have any kids from other cultures, really. We had 2 brothers from Czechoslovakia. That was the oddest.
from Czechoslovakia?
Czechoslovakia.
That would have been a very different
It was
culture shock.
Czechoslovakia back then. It wasn't the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been
I
a
feel
massive
like-
thing for them. Sorry, I like talking
Yeah.
about this interesting stuff. We can talk
Yeah.
about God in your life now.
I'm like, I'm talking about the Honzacto brothers now. This has gone in a direction I did not think we would go in.
The Honzacto brothers. They were known as the Honzacto brothers.
Yeah.
Did they receive the Lord?
I don't know.
Bet you they're pastors somewhere.
I don't know.
And they have really good afternoon
They
tea.
didn't go to my church, so I don't, like I said,
Okay.
I don't know how they came to be there, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a PK kid.
We got a PK.
Where-
So to answer your question, So Dad was on the executive at this church. And then by 1988, end of 1988, the pastor in Bundaberg, COC, was going down, moving out of town, and Dad got invited to take over the church in Bundaberg.
Go to Bundy.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
out to Bundy.
Up to Bundaberg, yeah.
Out
So
north.
that is, it's about 4 hours north. So, yeah, that was a really cool, that was one of those moments where my dad sort of taught me what God was telling him at the time. So
He was
he
sharing
said,
the journey with you.
yeah, a couple of years later, he was able to tell me, you know, when we moved here, God actually gave me the choice because, you know, he's like, oh, I just want to go where you want me to go, God. You know, do I stay here at this church, you know, in Sunshine Coast, or do I take over this new church? What do you want? Because by then, like, I'm one of 5. So he's got 5 young kids. I'm the oldest. I'm 12. So we were 12, 10, 8, 6 and 4. Do I relocate my family and take over a church? You know, I think he's about 39 years old at the time. And he said a few years later, he said, God actually gave me the choice. And he said, if you stay, I'll bless you. If you go, I'll bless you. It's your choice. So it's really, really cool learning that years later.
I love that he shared that with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that he did share it with me, yeah, my dad's sort of like that. But he's never brought work home. He's always been my dad at home. But these little nuggets that he gets from God, he shares with me. But the thing is too, I learnt that God gives us a choice sometimes, you know. Sometimes, you know, because, yeah, exactly. And I say sometimes because sometimes we can think that, you know, come on, God, I'm going this direction, you know, where are you?
Yeah.
But sometimes, if your heart is so for him and doing his will, we don't want to get it wrong, you know.
But I like when there is the choice. I like that. I've heard that before. I've heard those exact words. If you make this choice, I will bless you. If you make this choice, I will bless you.
Yeah. So we were blessed.
Resonates.
Yeah, we moved. So I moved there when I was 12. So I went into high school. I went from being in a Christian school with one class of people my age to the biggest high school, non-Christian, like public, in the Wide Bay with 1,200 students. And there were, I think,
that's a massive
9 classes of kids in my age bracket. So it was a huge culture shock.
That's in today's standard. That's a massive school.
Yeah.
So was that a good or a bad
Well,
thing?
I just did it. Yeah. My parents aren't like, we're not like drama. We don't do drama.
No, but what about
just
the
do
influence of what they would want to protect you from?
I don't know if they. Well, that's where all the kids from the school, from the church. That's where all the kids from the church went. So we just went to the. So I did have
from the
friends
new church.
from the
They
new
all
church.
went to that high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you had your
my Christian little
yep.
couple of friends there.
Did any of them get swallowed up by the world in the school?
I don't know.
Don't remember anyone going off the rails?
Oh, probably. I never really thought about that. Swallowed up by the world. That's a big thing to say.
Yeah. Well,
we're all on a journey. We're all on a journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still know a couple of them. But yeah, it's
one can be a narrow path journey, one can be a broad path journey. I only say that because, like, I only mention and ask the question because it's something I think about for my kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to protect them from
Yeah.
that. I don't want to be a helicopter parent, and I don't want to be a sheltering parent, but I do want to.
Yeah.
There's things we can control,
Yeah.
and is it? Yeah.
Well, if you're going to talk about from that aspect, I can speak about it better because I've got 4 kids, and so my oldest girls are 22 and 21. I know. I don't look old enough to have 22-year-old.
I thought you were 22.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I fished for that one. I'm 47. I'll just say it.
It's all good.
I'm 47.
Good.
And my boys are 16 and nearly 15.
Oh, hectic age,
But
boys.
they're good. All my kids are really good. They literally are blessings.
Are they around? Would I see them around?
Yeah, Brighton. He comes to church.
Okay.
He's my 16-year-old. But and the girls live together up in Brisbane. So you can see
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. They live together.
Yeah. They're besties.
That's cool.
Sister besties.
That's cool.
Yeah, very good. They are very cool. But talking about kids in which school to put them in, I've had my kids in a mixture of private Christian schooling and public schooling.
Yeah.
And don't tell anyone, but the public schooling was actually the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah, surprisingly. From my experience, I know everyone's experience is different. Yeah. Yeah. I worked at the private Christian school my kids went to for a long time, and I felt like I said to the boys, what is it with all those guys bombing around the basketball courts? Bombing here and bombing there, F-bombs.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like having Mrs. Riddell's swear jar at the basketball courts.
Yeah.
A Christian school.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends, hey, what school, what the culture sets as well. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So in your journey moving up to like Rockhampton.
To Bundaberg?
Bundaberg, not Rockhampton. She's way off, sorry.
My brother lives in Rockhampton, so you're not wrong.
Far
and my
off.
parents, they're actually in Rocky now. Yeah.
Oh, we can
So you must have known. There you go.
felt it. Your dad's been a... Yeah,
So I'm laughing because
I
when I drank my coffee.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. The microphone might have picked it up. We'll find out.
That's what I was laughing.
Leave it in. We'll leave that in. Where did... the question I want to ask is where was God there was just a knowing, and was there an experience, an encounter that solidified things, or was it parents' belief, this is just what I know, and then there was
It was a mixture of both, I think, for me.
Cool.
When I was a kid and my parents got filled with the Holy Spirit, then they would teach us about, because they'd learnt to speak in tongues, so they took us through that journey of, they led us through the sinner's prayer. Once we got to an age, it wasn't the sinner's prayer though, it was asking Jesus into our heart.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we each got to that age of understanding what that meant, then they invite us and would say, do you want to ask Jesus into your heart? And they would lead us through this prayer of asking Jesus into our heart. So I actually did that in my home, in my kitchen. I remember that moment of praying that prayer because I knew that it was real, and it wasn't just a flippant thing that they did. It was very intentional how they did it, I guess, and they explained, what it means. They explained it at an age-appropriate level, And so then after, a couple of years later, when they learnt to speak in tongues and they thought we were ready, if we were asking questions about what does this mean, that probably told them that we were ready to understand about it. So they taught us about what it meant. Yeah. Same thing in the kitchen at home. Started speaking in tongues.
How old were you?
I was probably about 6 or 7.
Oh, that young.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere around that age. And then,
I think I really like your parents.
yeah, they're pretty decent. They're very good.
They're both still around?
Yeah. They're amazing people.
They should come down one day.
Yeah.
Or I'll go up to their property if they got a property
in Rocky.
and I'll take some of my favourite things.
Yeah.
Eradicate some pests.
Yeah.
So
then, one time, if you asked about the personal experience, one time when I was little, I was probably about 4 or 5, I don't know, somewhere around there. I was just in the lounge room and I was just praying. I was just down on my knees and praying, like bowing down and just praying and just saying, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. Just over and over. Just really just telling Jesus I love him. And I could probably feel him with me. But then he said, I love you too, Patty. My family calls me Patty. I'm Patricia. But Patty that was my name. That my family. And he said, I love you too, Patty. And I jumped up, went running to Mum, he said I love you too. He said I love you too. And Mum's probably like doing the washing or something like that. Who said they love you? What?
Freaking out. Who the heck said?
Who said they love you? What? Jesus said he loves me too. Oh, did he, darling? Tell me that story. So I told the story of what happened. And And then clearly, because I was so young, I think over time I'd forgotten about that. But Mum,
Reminded
me.
Oh, wow.
Over the years. Remember that time? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So really just unique. Moments like that. And then obviously when you're a teenager, when you're going through that social stage, you're finding God in a different way for yourself as well.
Was that hard?
And Mum and Dad made room for that. No, not really. It was just part of life. Like we were all going to youth group, learning together, doing life. My parents, they weren't helicopter parents, and they weren't. I think we were a little bit insular. Things just were.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of should be. That's a community.
But I went to a public school, so yeah.
Was there ever a lure into?
Yeah, I thought that was coming.
That's it.
Well, then I left home and moved down to the Gold Coast here for 2 years. The Gold Coast, yes, yeah. So I lived with the family here. And that's when I met Liz. Do you know Liz Howland?
Yeah.
That's how long I've known Liz for.
Of course you guys know each other.
Yeah, so I've known her since I was 17 years old.
Oh,
30
really?
years, yeah.
Wow, yeah. I love Liz.
She was one of the moms in the church. So, yeah, hung out with her boy and his friends. They taught me how to surf. Well, bodyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. And so living down here, I was still going to church. Then lived with some flatmates. Yeah, we, used to go to clubs a couple of times, but I was always very careful. Because I'd heard all the stories.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that person that made a series of really terrible mistakes. But heck yeah, I made mistakes.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah.
And
so how old were you when you moved down, did you say?
17.
17.
Yeah.
Who and
Till I was
you
19.
Family moved down as well?
No, just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
Who'd you move down with?
The pastor's family, because they were friends of Dad's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they had a church down here?
Yeah.
What church?
Yeah, Palm Beach CIC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We were at the high school just down the road there.
Oh, Palmy would have been beautiful back then.
Yeah.
Would have been so nice. Did you surf at Currumbin?
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Currumbin. Kira's different.
Yeah, so different.
The waterline used to be all the way up.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah. Even from when I'm 30.
Sand now.
I'm 34 this year, and I grew up surfing there. Yeah. Lacey's Lane at Currumbin, surfing across Lacey's Lane. But yeah, Kira, it still breaks kind of the same. Like from Snapper, there's still like a break, but Kira was a main surf break. Now it's like if it's big enough, it'll break all the way through to Kira.
Yeah.
But I think I got my first barrel standing up at Snapper
Yeah.
and snapped my
okay.
board, funnily enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I got my first and only barrel at Currumbin.
Oh, Currumbin's nice.
I also got dumped, speared, and snapped. I know. I had the biggest headache that day.
Oh, man.
And then years later, my chiropractor said, "You've actually broken your back before." What?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like my neck and yeah.
Yeah, it did hurt. Yeah, it was about 3 to 4 months of pain. I remember. Oh, surfing's funny. Hey, surfing's so safe, and then till it's not.
Yeah.
One day. I've been
Until you.
I've
my
been pinned
gosh.
on the head. Come up with the. Have you ever had the sand graze on your forehead?
No, I didn't get that. This one was right on the top here, so I had sand all through my hair. Yeah.
I had the graze. It's like someone got sandpaper and just went.
Yep.
All right. 17, living in one of the most beautiful places in the world, going to Palm Beach COC,
Yes.
experiencing a little bit of life.
Yeah.
But you walk with God still steady.
Yeah.
Like you're reading your word, you're praying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had some beautiful moments at that age. I was really into journaling then, and just had these amazing moments. Okay, this is where we're going to the V, the vulnerable.
Okay.
You want to hear that story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just came to me just then. So I journal. You know, when you pray, you're praying, and then God will talk, and you just keep writing. Have you ever done that before?
A little bit.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. I've been journaling about what has been happening, and then he reveals to me what he's done that I've just been oblivious to.
Yeah.
He's like, remember this? And I'm like, oh. So I can relate to what you're saying a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So by then, my sister had moved out. We were only 16 months apart, so we were very close. And by then, I was she was living in the caravan at the house I was living at. And it was like we were besties, but we fought a bit as well.
Yeah.
You know what you do.
Yeah.
How you do with your siblings. And God one day is like, yeah, be kind to Cara, make the most of it because you're not going to have her forever. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And here I am like, because something about, she's going to go when she's 21, no, 23. I'm like, what's 21, no, 23? That doesn't even make sense, okay?
You wrote this in your...
I wrote this this is God talking to me, right? When she's 21, no, 23. This is when I'm 18 and she's 17.
Oh.
Okay? So I'm like, anyway, like the year later, I just ripped that page out. I'm like, that's garbage, whatever. Okay, fast forward to when one time, fast forward, my family moved to Sydney. My sister used to go bushwalking all the time. And one time I was still in Brisbane, went down to visit her. We went to the Three Sisters, and there's these amazing walks around there. There's this one, I don't know if you know it, right at the top there. It is stairs attached to the side of a cliff. Literal, like it's this wide. You're walking on stairs this wide with a little chain beside a cliff.
Made out of the rock or like
No,
fabricated and attached?
Yeah.
Okay.
That.
Oh, that's
right?
That's cool.
Takes huge trust to do that.
Yeah.
And we started this walk and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I got down about 10 metres and turned around and went back. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll see you when I get back. And I'm like, God, oh my God, keep her safe. And I just felt to pray for her. Oh my God. And I was just praying for her safety, as you do, just waiting for her to get up, like, probably about 40 minutes or so, just sitting around waiting in the sunshine. Because it's just beautiful there. And I was praying and God said that's how she'll go. I went, no, she won't. And I was just praying even harder. Right?
Was she 21 at this time?
She's 21 at this time.
Whoa.
I went, no, she won't. So I was praying and praying. When she came back up off that walk and her head peered over that edge and she came up, I was like, thank you, Jesus. He kept her safe. Fast forward to her 23rd birthday. I was pregnant at the time with my first child, and we got a call that night to say that she had passed away. She'd gone for a walk and didn't make it back. Yeah. Take a little sip of water here.
That's right. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's okay. Oh, I'm not gonna cry, I don't think. It's just hard to say it. Yeah. So,
Where'd she go?
went on a walk near the ranger's hut there in the Blue Mountains. She used to go all the time. She used to go by herself. And she was at Wentworth Falls. There's some falls there. There's a whole stack of falls there. She's with my cousin this time. And randomly, but praise the Lord, because if she'd have gone by herself, we wouldn't have known where she was. But she was with my cousin, my poor cousin. He was only like 14 or 15 at the time, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So they both adventuring away, decided to go off the path. Don't go off the path, kids.
Yeah.
Went off the path and started climbing the waterfall. And my cousin's like, it's a bit slippery. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go back and see you at the top.
Similar to Paddy.
See you at the top. So he went up and he's waiting for her, and she's yelling out, yeah, you're right, Luke, it is a bit slippery. And that's actually the last word that she ever said. And so, yeah, she slipped and fell and hit her head and died instantly. So that was pretty horrendous to have happen. Yeah, because my sister, she wasn't just like your best friend. She had impacted so many people. She's one of those people that she would have a conversation with anyone. She'd have an all-nighter with a stranger and tell them about God. You know,
she loved the Lord. Hey?
She loved the Lord, but she would challenge people, like people who were staunch religious people, and just challenge their theology about the reality of God and who He is and all that He is. Yeah, she'd really challenge the people that were really just stuck in their ways, and just to get people to open up their mind, because that's who God is. He's big and powerful, and He's just so expansive. And you know, sometimes we get really funnel-minded about
narrow,
about our understanding of who God is and what.
But so sure of what we know. So narrow, but so sure.
Yeah, right?
So sure.
Yeah. Man. So she was one of those really amazing people that just enriched your life because of how she would challenge you. So I really miss her, and she's just, having her not here has just been a huge hole in my life. Yeah.
God spoke to you about that when you were 18-ish. And
I didn't want to know about it.
Nah. But when it happened, how quick did the penny drop about the page that you ripped out?
It was a couple of weeks. And I was telling someone what had happened. And I went, oh, yeah. And one day I went to go walking with her, and I remember praying and then praying for her safety, and then I'm like, oh, God said that's how she'll go. Oh, man. Yeah, it was about 2 weeks later.
When it initially happened, were you angry with him?
Oh, yeah, that's all part of it. Absolutely.
Did he give you was there an answer, or it was just the fact that that's how she'll go?
That's how she'll go. there's God is amazing, okay, as you know.
No, tell me.
I'm stating the obvious.
No, you tell me. I love it.
She used to journal. And so we're going through our stuff after, as a family. We just, yeah. That was hard.
Ripping your heart out.
Yeah. But we're going through our stuff, and it was really cool because we knew who needed what. Anyway, her journals. Oh my gosh,
it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good.
You know that scripture. What is the scripture? It's something about the timing of when people pass and that he knows. Anyway, I can't remember the exact scripture, but what happened was we read the last journal entry. Me and my brother read the last journal entry that she wrote. And she literally wrote about wanting to try drugs. She'd said, "Oh, my life is pretty boring. Oh, I wonder what it'd be like to try speed." And she'd been planning to go to London that year, the next year. And I could just see it that I'm like, oh man, that could have been a disaster if she'd have gone to London, because London in the 90s was terrible. Like it was, she probably would have died over there and we wouldn't have known what had happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a possibility. Who knows, hey? But God is so good, and I just felt in that moment that potentially he just took her when she was okay.
Yeah. It's pretty hectic.
But she'd impacted so many people in such an amazing way. There were so many people at her funeral. In her short 23 years, she'd just touched so many lives.
And it rocks the community as well. A 23-year-old, nothing.
Yeah.
And an unavoidable thing or whatever, just a shock.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, it rocks people.
So mum and dad my dad was on the oversight of COC at the time. I think he was still on the oversight then. So everyone knew who they were, and so they had this amazing support, and everyone just gathered around them and around us as a family. And they still do. They still honour her and what my mum and dad had to live through in losing her and that. And, yeah.
You can only imagine, I can only imagine. I just think about, one of my own kids. Yeah. Just cannot imagine that.
Yeah. Can I talk about what God did at the time?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What was the...
Well, I just remember feeling, clearly the shock, you just feel numb, but alongside the numbness and with that natural numbness that you feel in the shock of losing someone like that, there's this overwhelming infusing of his peace. Wow. And it was so strong. You just feel it so strongly. It's like it cocoons you. Like it cocooned me. I should use it. This is my experience. It cocooned me, and it just felt like everything was just Teflon. Everything that didn't matter wasn't sticking. It was just, and we were just cocooned by his comfort and his peace, and it was just tangible.
In that, were you mourning and you could feel the mourning? Or
there was a sadness there, and it was still shock. I think, in hindsight, I think mourning comes later. Can come later. For me, because I was pregnant.
Oh, that's right.
I was right on 12 weeks pregnant, and I'd almost lost my child at 7 weeks. So I had to have bed rest and had a promise from God at that time that my daughter would be okay, or that my child would be okay. I didn't know she was a girl then. But then when I lost my sister at 12 weeks, I didn't live in Sydney with my parents, so I'd had to fly down there to be with them to go, have the funeral and stuff like that, and then head back to Brisbane and get on with the rest of my life. I was working at Qantas, had a career, so I was busy, full-time career, struggling with morning sickness. And I actually didn't let myself grieve. She was the first person that I'd really lost. I'd never had any loss before in my life, and so I didn't know about how to go through grief.
And you're wanting to protect.
And I wanted to protect the baby. Yeah. And in my best intentions, I actually just got on with life, and I just didn't grieve. I didn't want the baby to get a spirit of grief. That was my thinking at the time. Yeah. That's just where I was spiritually at the time.
Well, babies are susceptible to things in the
Exactly. And so I just toughened up because I'm a strong person, I'm a strong, resilient person, and so I just got on with being strong and resilient. And it wasn't until about 3 years later when my daughter was a bit older. She was, 2, and I had a baby as well, a toddler. Two of them by then, because my daughters were super close, that I was having panic attacks. I was, shortness of breath. I was just a perfectionist, really struggling. And this one day, when kids are little and they just get sick all the time? That's just my GP said until they're 6, they're just going to catch everything. So I'm like, yeah, okay. But she didn't tell me that till later. But I was out the front of the doctor's office. They'd been sick again. I rang my mum, who was in Sydney. Mom, they're sick again. Blah, blah, blah. I just can't do this anymore. I was really struggling, at my wit's end, probably so tired and everything. And my mum, and I said, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And my mum, she's so beautiful and gentle. She said, you won't lose your mind, darling. You've got the mind of Christ. And I went, Christ, he's a sensible one. he didn't have any kids. By himself, Mum. He was in the wilderness by himself for 40 days. 40 days by himself. Anyway, I'm going off. She goes, oh, you have got it bad, haven't you, darling? She said, just, it's okay. It's all going to be okay. Just go home and put the kettle on, put the kids to bed. Don't worry about your housework. That's going to be there later. I'm going to, and then she said, just have a cup of tea and just sit down and relax, or something like this. This was 20 years ago. She rang me an hour later and she said, I'm on the next flight.
Oh.
So she came up and she stayed with me for two weeks. That was the hardest 2 weeks of my life because I knew that I had to just let her look after me and just to reset my nervous system. Soon after that, I had this beautiful friend that came into my world, and God told her to come visit me every week for a year. And she taught me about grief was a big part of that year of my learning. Just taught me what grief was and what, other things in life as well. There were other things in life.
And what grief does to you.
Yeah.
Like you said, the anxiety, the panic attack, and like.
I'd pushed it all down, scared. It all eventually comes out. And so I was able to just start that grief process. And as I did step into that, and I was processing this with God, going, God, losing my sister. And he said, yeah, you're actually defiant and non-compliant. And I know, right? I know. If God, I pray God never has to speak like that to anyone, but to me, that's just where I was at the time. He's not usually that direct, but he needed to be direct with me at that time because that's what I needed to hear. I was defiant and non-compliant, and in doing that, I realised I hadn't trusted him. I hadn't surrendered to his process, taking me through the grief process, and trusted myself and my baby to him. So it was really cool to learn that. It's like when you, when you're a kid and you do something naughty and you get a spanking from your parents and they're like, probably shouldn't do that, hey?
Yeah. You can
and you
have
realize,
some
but it's a
dessert
good
now.
thing, but it's a good thing. And you learn, you go, oh, yeah. You just, it's part of maturing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and just deepens your relationship with God. Like that whole being vulnerable and going and accepting this hurt big time, But he's so kind and gracious.
So
and
good.
There's no
So
time
good.
restraints with him.
No.
It can be 20 years later and he'll go, let's do this.
Yeah,
and he'll take your hand.
Yeah. Are you gonna let me in now? Like, can I? I fully I relate to it. It's a lot of what you're saying. There's some similarities there. And I like your description of the cocoon. A very similar thing with grief, with a loss of life. Fear of like, man, I'm rocked right now. Yeah. And then feeling him do this over my heart. And then for the difference is I didn't have a baby I was trying to protect. I didn't have something I was like, I'm broken. And so the mourning process was actually, it was different because it was quick. But I think your story is way more relatable to most people because we don't know how to deal with grief. And it really does. Can I call you Patty? Because you said it
my
now.
My family calls me Patty.
Yeah, okay, Trish. Trish, it really does affect people. And a lot of people's issues is because they don't deal with stuff and it ends up working out in other ways. I think that's I think that story is really relatable for people and it's powerful. And God is just sitting there like, hey, I'm here today. Yeah. I'll be here in 20 years and I'm ready to hold your hand through it, just like you said.
Yeah. It's not that and it's not that I closed my heart to him for that whole amount of time, just with that one area. It was like grief. I'm not going there with the loss of my sister.
Yeah.
Like I went through the process of giving birth to my two beautiful girls, and having him there through all of that, and pregnancies and all that. But just processing the loss of my sister, I just wasn't ready yet. But in that season, I was ready. Like I had two small girls at home. I had a bit more time to process and write and journal and learn and pray and worship. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's been one part of my story.
Well, that's powerful. Well, it's a good note to end on because we're tapping out for time. But yeah, maybe do you have an encouragement or like
encouragement? Yeah,
for people specifically that go through that, because the common reaction can be to like, oh God, you're not there because this happened, or something like that. So what's an encouragement from you?
Well, I think you're right in that when something shocking like that happens, our world gets rocked. It's like the carpet comes out from underneath us and everything's uncertain.
That's good.
Yeah, so uncertain that you don't know what's up and what's down for a while sometimes. And in that, you're trying to find out what's certain, what's going to change, what's not going to change. God, we know God doesn't change.
Yeah.
But it does change. But it does change. It changes us. And it changes our relationship with God. And my encouragement is to trust God, even if you can't feel that tangible peace that he gives us at that time, And if you do feel that tangible peace, that's him. That's God protecting you. Even if you can't hear him, don't know what his heart is in this, don't know what his direction is now for you, he is there. And it's okay. You don't have to figure it all out.
That's good.
That's the thing. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to make any decisions about your future right now. He gives us our daily bread. He gives us what we need for today.
I like that. That's
Yeah. Anything, that's what daily bread is. It's the sustenance that you need for today to get through today. And it's his provision. And provision, I mean, as in what you need for your emotions, for your, mental agility, whatever it is, for that day.
That's great.
He gets you through that day. And day by day, step by step, he directs you. Yeah.
Trish, that's great. Thank you so much. I feel like we'll do a 2 at some point because I feel like there's a ton more. But thanks for your time. Thanks for elaborating a bit more just on your walk for our community just to hear. And hopefully you can meet your parents one day. They sound like amazing people. Yeah. But thanks for being here.
No worries. Thanks for having me.